Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm going to be exploring markers. The marker pen is a pen that has a tip made of pressed fibers called felt and holds colored ink. The marker has a core of an absorbent material which carries the ink. One more necessary part of a marker is a cap that prevents drying of ink in a nib. The ink of a marker has a solvent in it that keeps it in liquid form. Until the 1990s, that solvent was toluene or xylene. These solvents are harmful, and because of that, today we use alcohol instead. The first felt-tip marking pen was made in 1910 by Lee Newman. It was basically a cylinder filled with ink that led to a felt tip. Benjamin Pascach patented his fountain paintbrush in 1926. It had a sponge-tipped handle and was filled with different paint colors. In 1944, Walter J. de Groot patented a marking pen that held ink in a liquid form in its handle and used a felt tip. This becomes the famous Sharpie pen that we know today in 1964. The first and usable marker pen was Sidney Rosenthal's Magic Marker, which he invented and started selling in 1953. This marker had a glass tube of ink for a body and a felt wick, and its name comes from the fact that it was able to write on any surface. Binney and Smith, who made Crayola, bought the name Magic Marker in 1989 and started selling improved permanent markers and highlighters. In 1996, they started selling Magic Marker No. 2 and dry erase markers for writing on whiteboards and glass. There are different types of markers which are made of various materials for different purposes, and they behave differently. Permanent markers can write on many different surfaces like glass, plastic, wood, metal, and stone. Their ink lasts for a long time and often cannot be removed from the surface by rubbing or adding water. Depending on the surface on which it's used, the ink can be removed with alcohol or acetone. Highlighters are semi-transparent permanent markers which are used to draw attention to sections of text to highlight them. They are used over existing writing, but they still leave the writing readable. They are often made in bright fluorescent colors, the most often color being fluorescent yellow. Non-permanent markers, also known as dry erase markers or whiteboard markers, are markers that, when applied to the surface, dry very fast and do not stick to the surface very strong, so that when they're erased with a dry sponge or cloth, they just turn to dust. This art I made with the markers is definitely not the best, but I still had a lot of fun. It was hard to blend, especially since I was using water-based markers, which can also shred the paper, as you can see. Alcohol-based markers can be blended and layered more easily if you're interested. And also, this is my last video in this series. I learned a lot of things from making these videos. I learned about different mediums, how they work, and what to expect in the future while I'm using them. I hope you enjoy this series, and thank you for watching, and the tutorial I used will be linked in the description. Bye!